Alright, welcome back to Dinopedia, entry number 48, the Tylosaurus. Remember, like if you like, and subscribe down below for more videos. Alright, so the schedule as always is a look at the Ark Survival Tylosaurus, tips and tricks for the Ark Survival Tylosaurus, potential add-ons whenever it gets added to the main game. It's a modded creature, so the main game of being Ark Survival Evolved, Ascended, and Ark Survival 2, and reworking from a new game, Dino World. Let's get into it. So of course the Tylosaurus is in the Ark Survival Ascended game, but it is a mod. It is in the additional creatures mod, so do be worried about that. You have to actually add it. It's in Kingdom Animalia, because of course it's animal. Group Reptilian, because it's reptile. And description is a marine reptile, a large marine reptile at that. It's a cousin of the Mosasaurus. So of course traits, it swims around the coastal water, resting and swimming slowly on the ground, replicating the behavior of a nurse shark. If there's any people who are from Florida or a coastal area that have nurse sharks, it's very similar to them. It'll swim slowly on the water, floor, and bottom, but it will swim in very shallow water as well, so do be wary about that. And it has a similar health stat to the Mosasaurus, but has half stats. It has a health of 2,000, stamina 450, oxygen infinite in the water, food and water 9,200 each, melee 1,000, melee 76 base, a swimming speed of 7.6 meters per second with a torpor of 5,200. It's very sizable health stats, but of course it is a cousin of the Mosa, so it makes sense. So of course its tips, it's similar to a flyer, but it's underwater. Can swim incredibly fast using its launch ability, which allows it to launch off the surface of the floor, but needs to settle on the bottom to regain stamina. So just remember that whenever you're using it in the ocean, do treat it like a flyer, where it does need to regen its stamina by sitting on some sort of structure on the bottom of the ocean. It has metabolism. When resting on the ground, it regens health almost instantly, resetting stamina almost instantly, and able to launch off the ground with a boost of speed and damage. So do remember that. If you do hunt in shallow water, it is very effective to do so, because if you do attack something in the shallow water, using its boost ability to launch off the ground will allow you to have a boost of speed and damage, killing your prey relatively quickly. And of course tricks, stalking its prey by following them slowly before activating its boost ability to launch forward with increased damage is a good way to kill something. That's what we just talked about earlier. Just slowly swimming on the ground to use the boost ability off the ground uses increased damage and basically guarantees yourself an easy kill. And also as an antidote, it's immune to poison damage effects as well as venom. So do think about that. It is a very wise killer to use, especially when going up against poisonous creatures. So of course, potential add-ons I'd like to see when it's added to the main game of Ark would be the Beach Hunter ability. Can swim in very shallow water, it can already do that. Crawling on the beach floor, being able to lunge onto a beach or cliffside coastline to grab something back into the water. Think the Mosasaurus scene from Jurassic World, where the Indominus Rex is sitting right next to its cage. It jumps out of the water and grabs the Indominus Rex and drags it back into the water. Similar to that, but the Tylosaurus can do it too, because it's smaller and easier to do that. It can just launch out of the water, grab something, and drag it back into the water, giving a nice animation to not only a player animation but also in-game animation as well. It's also Raft Hunter, targets watercraft. I find it to be incredibly weird that most creatures do not target rafts in the water. Megs will avoid them, Mosas will avoid them, Plesiosauruses will avoid them. The only real creature that attacks rafts is of course the biggest water creature, the lead, but I mean, that makes sense because it's kind of like the whale of Ark. But I do think most other creatures in the water should also target watercraft, especially if a player is using it to escape. The player is in the water, they're chasing it, and they get on a raft. They shouldn't just peace out and be like, well, since you're on a raft, I'm not going to attack you. You should be like, no, I'm going to attack it too. And of course the Ark Survival 1 versus the Jurassic World 1. Obviously the Jurassic World 1 is a little bit more bigger, but the Ark Survival 1 I think wins because it is, more scarier, has a better skin pattern, and the mouth looks more terrifying. Of course the one in Dino World is bigger as well. The Ark Survival 1 still wins because it looks bigger. It doesn't look bigger, it looks scarier, but I do think ours looks a little bit, more intimidating because it is bigger. So of course the Tylosaur in Dino World has a shortened name, though not that much. It's a Tylosaurus in Ark Survival Evolved additional creatures mod, but in Dino World it's just called the Tylosaur. Of course there's two types. The normal Tylosaurus is the wild and tame dino variant, and the mutated Tylosaur was the product of 2 tame Tylosaur mating, breeding, and egg laying plus a gene computer. So of course it's an animal, so kingdom Animalia, and of course it's a lizard, so group reptilian. Its class is marine reptile and family is large marine reptile, being a part of the Mosasaurus, Kronosaurus, and Leopleurodon family tree. And looking at its health stats, we did make it bigger than the Arc one, but that's only because we want to make it, a little bit more real-life sized, because it is kind of similar to the Mosasaurus in size. So it has a health of 3,000 instead of 2,000, stamina 300 instead of 450, food and water is 9,000 instead of 9,200, weight stays the same, melee is 80 instead of 76, swimming speed is 10 meters per second instead of 7.6 meters per second, with a torque pool of 6,000 instead of 5,200, and a fortitude is X'd out because it is in the water. So of course, additional traits, it has the beach hunter ability that we already talked about. In Arc, it can lunge out of the water and drag something back into the water. It also has cannibalism, will hunt other Tylosaurs, gaining over health, which means its health goes above its max health HP, and has greater boosting stats. So basically it increases its overall health, its max HP when hunting other Tylosaurs, and boosts its stats when hunting them. Higher level Tylosaurs doing cannibalism will also gift rare inventory loot when harvesting a Tylosaur corpse. So it is a cannibal, so do watch out for that, because if you're riding one in the water, other Tylos will still hunt you down and try and kill you. But, if you are using one, it is best to go after other Tylosaurs because they will give you greater stats overall, and if you are riding a higher level one, cannibalism will also give you rare inventory loot as well. And then its combat abilities: tunnel dive, dive into the ground, and tunnel under into the ground for a limited time. Creates tunnels if digging straight through an obstacle, such as a ridge or a hill or something. It will just give you a tunnel that you can use to your advantage, but it's mostly a combat ability to hide under the ground if it needs to regen health, which it will, because its metabolism it activates even if it is under the ground instead of on the ground. And then of course it has a 30-second cooldown because it's a combat ability, so it does need a cooldown due to the fact that it is kind of an overpowered ability. Alright, and then finally we look at Dino World spawns. The main map is Europa. Obviously spawn rates are color-coded: blue for guaranteed, green very likely to spawn, yellow few to likely to spawn, orange rare to spawn, red very rare to spawn, and purple for dead. Obviously it's rare to spawn in any of the ocean depths. However, it is few to likely to spawn in shallow waters around Herbivore Island, even though Herbivore Island is mostly herbivores. And of course, it also is few to likely to spawn in trenches as well, so do be careful about that. Alright, so that's going to be the end of the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like if you like, dislike if you don't, subscribe if you like it. Comment down below your thoughts. Everyone has a blessed day as always, and a happy new year. And of course, as always, toodaloo!